Good morning, guys. How's it going? You're here. Well, you know that. I mean, I don't need to introduce myself, right? I've got some really exciting news to share with you. Check this out. Facebook is now giving away free money to entrepreneurs. And let me explain exactly what I mean by that. Because it's kind of a catchy title, right? It's a catchy subject line that's probably going to grab your attention and it's going to pull you into be like, hold on. Facebook is giving away money right now? How on earth does that make sense? Well, let me share with you exactly how that makes sense. And I want to tell you, number one, that it's actually not breaking news. This has been around since Facebook started. And the reality is that a lot of people don't know this, or they're not able to tap into this because they just don't know how. So I want to show you exactly how to get free money from Facebook. Is that okay? So one of the questions that I often get asked is, well, I don't have a budget for my business, right? I can't run ads, I can't do anything else. And that's like, okay, cool, I understand that. But the reality is you don't actually need a budget to do any of that stuff. And I want to show you why. I call this patient financed acquisition. And it's exactly how you can get free money from Facebook, okay? So I want you to think of a bit of context. I'm going to draw something out here. I'm going to get into some math here, so you may want to write some stuff down. Excuse me. I want to just kind of make an assumption that you have a program or you have a service, either brick and mortar or virtual, that you charge $2,500 for, okay? So let's just assume that it's $2,500, and let's not even assume that people pay you up front for that. So let's just say they put down $500 to get started, and that's where we're going to start, okay? Now, what I want to walk you through here is I want to walk you through what the math looks like. All right. Now, in order to do this, in order to make free money from Facebook, we're going to leverage something called credit to do that. So let me show you what this looks like. Now, I've got this beautifully drawn out chart here. And what I want you to consider are the following scenarios. So up here on the top left, I've given you $2,500 as a price point for a program. Now, let's say that you are going to go to Facebook and you have a properly dialed in offer, right? So you have a program, you're going to put it out there, you're going to bring people into your world, into your pipeline, and this is what the math could look like. So let's say in month one, you decide to go gangbusters, right? And you spend a whopping $500 on your ads, right? So you're going to take out your Visa, MasterCard, American Express. You're going to give it to Facebook, excuse me, and you're going to tell Facebook, hey, Facebook, I'm going to give you this credit card and I'm going to spend this number of dollars per day, so $500 in a month, and I want you to give me some leads and hopefully clients or patients in return, okay? So I'm going to just walk through two different scenarios here with some typical percentages that might make sense or might not make sense. And I apologize if I'm hacking up a storm here. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the COVID. Okay, so month one, we spend $500. And let's just assume that we're paying $5 a lead. Now in our world, that's a webinar registration, right? So if you're doing a perfect client pipeline like we teach all of our clients, this is what this might look like. So let's say you bring in 100 leads, okay? So 100 people have opted in to watch a webinar or downloaded a PDF or whatever it is. So you basically spend $5 per lead. Now, we want to get people on the phone, so how many of those people are going to convert into a phone conversation? Well, that depends on how good your webinar is, your ability to really sell an idea and make an irresistible offer for people to speak with you. But let's just say it was 2 people, right? So 2 people out of 100 booked a call with you. Now, let's say that you have an irresistible offer that is going to solve a big problem for people, and 1 out of 2 say yes to that. Right? And so all we're asking for people up front is not even the full 2,500. We're just saying, start now, and we can get started for $500 today, okay? So your revenue is $500, right? So you've made $500, and remember, you have a receivable of $2,000 coming in over the next, let's say 2 months if you've got a 2-pay payment plan. So right now your profit is neutral, right? So you've made no money, but remember this, you have acquired 100 leads on your email list and you have a new client and you've paid $0 for that client or that patient. Now I want to just stop for a second. and clear my throat. I want to stop for a second. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, hopefully this is making sense for you. But visually it makes sense. So just watch the replay on YouTube somewhere. You've paid $0 to have somebody pay you money to work with them. Okay? So if all we did here, if we didn't even run, if we just said, you know what, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm not even going to run anything for the next several months. I'm going to just shut off my ads, do nothing. Here's what's going to happen. In month 2, let's just say you have 2 equal payments of $1,000 coming out from that client. You have 1,000 here and 1,000 there. Do you see that? So you've paid $500 in month 1 to acquire the client or the patient. You break even, so you've paid nothing out of pocket. You put $500 on your credit card, and when the money comes in from that first client or patient, you put $500 right back, you cover your balance, no issues. Now in month 2 and 3, you've got $1,000 coming in from their next payments, and then in the third month, you have another $1,000 coming in. So now you have made $2,000 profits from Facebook. So Facebook has literally given you $2,000 in free money. Do you see what I'm saying here? Okay. Do you guys see the power in this? Now let's backtrack a second. Let's say, I'm just gonna erase. There we go. Okay, so let's say that you're like, you know what, man, this is working pretty well. This is great. So why don't in month 2, why don't we spend like $2,000? So assuming the numbers hold up, that's going to be, I think that's 400 leads. And if we say 2% from 400, that is, I can't even do the math here. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up my calculator on the screen. So we got 400 times 0.02. So that's 8 calls, right? All right, so we got 8 calls booked. And let's just say that your conversion went down. So you didn't even get half. Let's just say that you got like 3 out of 8 to say yes, and they each paid you $500, okay? So 3 times 5 is 1,500. But remember, you also have the 1,000 from the first month's payments. See that? So now you've got 2,500 and you've spent 2,000 because you have the payments starting to come in from month 1 client or patient. So now you're ahead of the game by $500. You see that? So you have spent more money on Facebook. You have spent more money in month 2. You spent 4 times as much money, but you've actually made $500 profit. You've paid off your credit card balance. There's a zero, like you look at your statement, it's $0 because the money you made from the new patients or clients that you brought in, you put that money onto your credit card and you have $0 balance, okay? And you have $500 to go to dinner with. Now, probably not, right? Well, you know, $500 profit that you can do whatever you want within your business. Now, let's look at month 3. And let's say in month 3, you're like, you know what, this is making sense. This is fun. So you spent $4,000, and now I'm just going to double the numbers. So let's say we have 800 leads, 16 calls booked, and let's say 5 out of 16, so again, a little bit less than 30% say yes. So 5 times 500 is 2,500. Now watch this. Remember, we have one more payment coming in from our month 1 client, okay? So that's $1,000 from the M1 client. I'm going to just put M1. And we have 3 times 1,000 for the second payment coming from M2 clients, from month 2 clients. So now we have 3,000 coming in from our month 2 clients. So if we add this up, we have 3,000 plus 1,000 is 4,000 plus 2,500 is $6,500 minus $4,000 ad spend. So our profit is now $2,500 in month 3. Now remember, we still have, so remember, we have month 2 payment coming out in the next month, and then the next, the second month payment from the M3 clients or patients coming out in month 4 as well. So even if at this point you said, you know what, I'm gonna just shut this down, I'm not even run any more ads, you still have more payments coming through in those latter months to finish off those payment plans. So do you see how powerful this is? This is how Facebook is giving you free money. Is you understand your numbers, you have an offer that people say yes to, and when you break down the math, then it's amazing, right? Like, why would you not do this? Like, I would love to know in the comments, if you guys can let me know, like, why on earth would you not do this? There's two reasons. Number one is fear, and number two is not knowing your shit, not knowing your numbers. So number one, you have to know your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you don't have a business, right? And you have to think like a business owner and an investor. An investor who says, hold on, if I give Facebook $500 and I can get clients and pay nothing for them, like it's zero, like net zero, I would do that all day long, right? But if you're telling me I can give Facebook X number of dollars and I'll actually make more in return and now have clients and patients that I can help and then, ascend over time to do other things with, like, guys, like it's free money. It's free money, but you have to have a few things dialed in. You have to have an amazing offer, right? So an offer basically means you're solving a problem that people want solved, right? It's not something like you think is going to be cool. Like I help people, with their mindset and stuff. No one's buying that. Okay, I promise you, no one's buying that stuff. Like you have to solve a problem. How you solve that problem is a little bit, obviously difference based on your methodology. But don't come to market with stuff that people don't want, right? The only reason this doesn't make sense is when you're not confident in what it is you're offering. So if you have an offer that people are more likely to say yes to, and ideally you're charging more than like $50, then the numbers make sense, right? Like why on earth would you not do this? So again, number one, your offer has to be good. Number two, the numbers I broke down for you here are based on some theoretical conversion rates, right? Now, we have what we call a golden ratio that we work with, that we tell our clients about. I'm not going to tell you what that golden ratio is because it's kind of privied information. But if you hit that golden ratio, you are going to see a 5-to-1 ROI every single time you run your Facebook ads. And hitting that golden ratio requires expert guidance. Like if you don't know how to craft a good offer, if you don't know how to craft good messaging, if you don't know how to have a conversation with people on the phone, you're not going to hit that golden ratio. And therefore, your numbers aren't going to make sense. So therefore, you can't do this type of stuff on Facebook. But when you do get to that golden ratio, or at least close to it, then you can literally give Facebook all of your credit cards and tell Zuckerberg to be like, hey man, just use as much, like just put as much as, like spend as much as you possibly can. Because every time I give you money, you're giving me like 4, 5, 6 times return. Or even if it's 2-to-1, right? It's still worth it, right? So we have to have all of these elements dialed in. We have to have a really good offer, and you have to know your numbers, right? You have to track this stuff. If you don't track your numbers, you don't have predictability and you don't have confidence. The reason I believe in my experience that more people don't do this is because of these factors, or they think that, well, what if the numbers don't hold up? And maybe they won't, but even if they're not 5-to-1, if they're 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, that's gravy. It's all good, right? Like right now, since COVID hit, we're spending about 4 times as much money every single week on our Facebook ads than we were before COVID. And that's because the numbers are looking really good, right? So we're going to continually do that and continue to scale. But if we didn't know our numbers and we're kind of just like a monkey throwing darts with a blindfold on, then we're not able to do that, right? So I want you to think, excuse me, there's a very big difference. Like if you're a practitioner or a health expert, I want you to put the hat on of a business owner and investor. If you've read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, years ago, it was probably one of the first books that I read, probably like 20 years ago. And he talked about the 4 quadrants, right? You've got employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. Most practitioners and most health experts, even though they say they have a business, don't. They have a job. So they are working as self-employed. So they've bought themselves a job, and now they're trading time for money because they don't have systems and leverage in that business to step away from it, right? They might be doing okay, right? So we talk with a lot of practitioners who are like, we're doing $40K a month in the practice. but they can't leave the practice. They can't step away from the practice because when they're not there, they can't see patients and they don't make money. That's not a business, that's a job, okay? So a business owner is somebody who now starts to leverage systems. So for instance, a system like the Perfect Client Pipeline, where 90% of what we're talking about here is automated. You set it up once, and now the system brings in leads and clients and patients into your business on autopilot. That's what a business owner does. An investor is somebody who leverages money. So an investor says, okay, great, I've got this system, this Perfect Client Pipeline for bringing people into my world. Now, if I give Facebook money to fill the pipeline and I can leverage that money, then I can scale in a very fast way, right? Because what's the alternative, right? So let's say you have a system like the Perfect Client Pipeline and you're not thinking like an investor. So an investor, remember, leverages money to save them time. They understand that money is cheaper than time is. But here's where a lot of people go wrong, especially online, is they start doing things for free, like posting on Instagram, posting on social media, thinking that's going to do anything. Or they write blog posts or YouTube videos that no one ever sees, or they put together a summit that whatever produces what it does, and they're looking for all these free ways to build their business. And the only reason they're doing that is because they're afraid to spend money because they don't have a predictable system that would allow them to use credit like a Visa, Amex, MasterCard to fill that pipeline, and as a result of that, pay off any kind of spend and allow them to scale quickly. So guys, I know this is very mathematical, but the reality is, like, if you know the math, that's where you get predictability from. And if you want a more predictable business that generates a lot of revenue, then you have to know your numbers and you have to have an offer that people say yes to, right? And this is something we work with our clients on every single day. And if you'd like our help, this is what we're the best at doing, right? So if you have a brick and mortar practice and it's closed and you've got no way of seeing patients and you'd like our help, then just type me into the comments below and we can walk you through what the next steps might be. We'll just jump on a call, see if there's a good fit. And if we can talk about helping you, then we can certainly do that. And if you're not qualified to do that, then we'll let you know ahead of time. We only work with practitioners who own their own business, who have been in business for at least a year, who are generating at least $5,000 a month in revenue, at least before COVID, and they're ready to go now. Like, they understand that, like, they can't just sit on their hands and hope for like a bailout from the government, because that's not what business owners do, right? That's what that's what employees do, right? Employees are waiting for the paycheck, right? They're waiting for the government to give them the paycheck. And business owners take matters into their own hands, and the best way that they can control their future is by starting right now, by planning properly in the present with the right systems and the right guidance to help them through that. So if this is making sense for you and you would like to get free money from Facebook, then type me in the comments below and we can walk you through what this might look like if we were to help you to do so. All right, hope this makes sense. Hopefully the math didn't overwhelm you, but if it did, watch this again because it's very important to understand, and I'll see you guys soon.